Hey Gemini, I hope you guys are doing great today. So as it turns out, a lot of people didn't like the space that the chart that I used last time took up on the screen. So we'll go back to my old way. I don't care. Doesn't it's not about me, it's about you. You know, you guys have to be the happy ones, right? With how I'm delivering the information. So anyway, my name is Jackie. For those of you who are new here, we're going to start with the astrology for the 15th to the 20th. Then we're going to jump over to the cards. We're going to do a spread for money, career, relationship, and I am going to get to those of you who are single this time. I'm so sorry I didn't do that last time. If you see me looking down or away, I'm just looking at your chart and some notes that I did take because I don't want to forget any of the important information for this very important end of July. This is a very interesting month because it's very well for you. It's going to be especially introspective, very introspective. But let's break that down. Let's talk about. Why don't we start by discussing Venus going into Cancer? So Venus is moving from Gemini into Cancer on the 17th, and so it'll be there from July 17th until August 11th. And Venus is very, very nurturing, right? Very protective, very cautious. And in the second house of the money that you make from the work that you do, your self-esteem, your values, how you, literally how you nurture yourself as far as food goes, but also emotionally and how you're feeling about what you have and how you do things, how you work, how you take care of yourself. All of that is Taurus energy, right? So Venus is going to be in there. Venus is very much about self-esteem and about beauty and about growth. And that second house, the ruler of that second house, the landlord is Taurus, but it is ruled by Venus as well. So we have a lot of Venusian energy that's going to be activated. And so Gemini, expect yourself to be a little extra sensitive, very romantic, like nice though. And this is nice. Increase sensitivity, increase, impressionability, very tender, very easily. You could feel a little more attached than you normally do, which can certainly happen here. Very affectionate, very cuddly energy, which is beautiful. It's very Cancer. Really good energy right now too for money. I feel like there's going to be a lot, some sort of shift is going to be going on having to do with finances. So I can hear some of you going, yes, thank you, Jesus, thank you. Right. But we'll kind of break that down as we go. But yeah, Venus is definitely a money energy. It is in your second house that has to do with money. In Cancer, it has to do with your ability to feel safe, secure, have what you need. Now, for a lot of you, the security can be based in some sort of real estate transaction and or having to do with your home. A lot of you are going to be looking at how well are your needs for nurturing, for stability and safety cultivated? How are those emotions cultivated by your home life, by your home environment, the people that you live with, literally by where it is that where you live right now. Because you have so much Venusian energy in this space, though, Gemini, right now, you're really going to be very in the mood to sort of make people in your life feel very special. And this is not only a significant other, this is even your friends. You're going to feel an extra motivation within your energy to feel very connected, to work on growing situations in your life, growing connections. You're going to really, and even if it's been connections that maybe have been a little, little men's amends, you're now really sure it's good, it's not, you're going to feel this, this surgency, right? I'm going to kind of call it that, where you're going to feel like, yeah, you know what, I want to, maybe we should hang out more, or, feel a lot more motivated to sit down and have an open conversation with somebody. So it's a very nice energy. And remember, whenever Venus is in Cancer, our memories are very, very long. And a lot of what we experience in that space, it really gets experienced through our memory body and through our emotional body and less on facts. So you have to keep that in mind now if you're dealing with any sort of situation having to do with finances, having to do with sharing as well, because that second house is working opposite that eighth house, which is where you have the Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, which is the energy of sharing, that energy of we, right? And so a lot of you may be in the space where you're realizing you want to feel a lot more cultivated. You want to feel a lot more nurtured. This is going to be very important to you as well, especially because Vespa in that 10th house is opposing trans Pluto. I just feel like for a lot of you, you're really doing a temperature check of the flame that's still burning inside of you to be in whatever it is that you're in. And depending on your personal chart, because this isn't a personal reading, for some of you that could translate into your marriage, your relationship, your career. It's like, how strong is that flame still burning in you to and motivating you? Because some of you can experience this feeling where it's like, you know what, I actually really want to maybe try to fix something. Maybe I want to try to be a little more connected. I want to try to level this up. If you're recognizing that something is not where you're going to want it to be, your first inclination is not to blame yourself for it, but it's to say, you know what, I'm part of this situation. So let me see if I can approach it a little differently, whether it's that friendship, that relationship, or even that job, right? Being open and willing to trying a different approach to something, because you're recognizing that you're feeling very low in the motivation. The motivation is probably not there the way that you would really like it, having to do with one part or several parts of your life. So this is something that can absolutely come out. But going back to that original thought, a lot of what you're going to be processing is going to be based on how you feel, and less on facts. Not that you're not looking at facts, but your fear, your emotion, your emotions are going to be driving a lot of what you're going to be experiencing during these last 2 weeks of July. Now, moving on to the 19th, we have Chiron turning retrograde, and that's still in Aries, and that's in your 11th house of goals, gains, friends, where it is that you see yourself going over the next few years. It's also the house of older siblings. It's also the house of daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws. So if you are having any sort of a little falling out, or if things are weird, kind of been vibing this for you guys, it's interesting for a while now, have the conversation with the older sibling, have the conversation with the daughter-in-law, son-in-law. Is it better to be right, or is it better to have peace kind of situation, right? And it's a really nice energy for you guys to sit down and have some healing conversations, right? I just feel like, because Chiron retrograde is really, really lovely to do some really good healing, and he's going to be retrograde until December 23rd. So it's going to be stopping and thinking about, A, B, and C really didn't make me feel very good. What happened with that? I want to better understand it, and making the decision to not hold on to stuff. Who's right, who's wrong? Maybe they were wrong in every way, but it's like, I don't want to hold on to the stuff in my energy. It's like nobody's worth it. And if they're meant to be in your life, then I could see you sitting down and having a great conversation, whether it's a friend, an older sibling, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, any of those, even stepchildren, would be indicated here, or even just a reassessing of some sort of goal that you've been wanting, right? You do have the Jupiter energy in there. Jupiter is still direct at this point. It's going retrograde a little more towards the end of the month, but this idea of you feeling very focused on a fresh path, new perspective, and not wanting to hold on to any, negative stuff. It's like, what's the point, right? There's nothing positive about that. Now, moving forward to July 19th here as well, it's the same day, a little later on in the day, we have Mercury going into Leo. Our thinking is a lot more confident in Leo. This is going to be happening in the third house, where Mercury rules for you guys, right? Gemini is the landlord of the third house. Mercury is the ruler. So you have that Mercury in a Mercury ruled house, and Mercury loves being in this energy. So very fiery mental capacity. Your mind is just going to be going. You're going to be popping. What I like about this for you guys, you're going to be so focused. You're going to be very confident. If you have to have an important conversation, if you're in a situation where you need to write something that's very important, if you're designing maybe some sort of creative project. I love this energy for you guys. If you're working on a book, a screenplay, any type of curriculum, if you're in that area, if you are looking to design any sort of course, this is great. This is great. Mercury and Leo in the third house, very good and very supportive energy for your creative spin that you put on things. So this is really, really nice energy. Now, the third house also does rule siblings. It rules extended family. It does rule neighbors, your neighborhood, all modes of communication. And to be forewarned is to be forearmed. You may not be listening the way that you normally would. So you just want to be a little careful of that. You want to be careful that you don't come off anyway. Not that you're going to want to intentionally be understood this way, but too proud or ego focused or anything, or inflexible. You want to be careful of that. Because again, fire with air, it could be very sort of, all encompassing, right? So it could be a lot. It could be a lot. So just be mindful of that. You're going to feel very direct in your speech. I mean, I actually really like this for Geminis. You guys know I'm a Gemini. I like it, but we're going to have to like step it back a little bit if we're maybe pushing an idea or an agenda that we feel is best for someone, but we don't feel like we're really hearing them. Do you know what I mean? So to exercise some good boundaries there. But you are going to be very motivated to have your voice heard, especially if it has to do with voicing an area of concern within a relationship, within a business situation, because third house can also be a business house as well. So you're going to really be very motivated to have your voice heard, which is great, but you do just want to temper it. That's the only thing I say there. Now, I'm going to talk about, 6 transits sort of in one felt swoop, because I think they're all very connected between July 23rd all the way to July 31st. That week, Mercury is speaking to Jupiter, to Mars, to Chiron. It's speaking to several energies. So I just kind of want to break it down. So we have Mercury and Leo trining Jupiter. Then we have Mercury in Leo squaring Mars, Mercury in Leo trining Chiron, Mercury in Leo squaring Uranus, Mercury in Leo squaring the North Node, and then Mercury in Leo is going to be opposing Saturn. So what does this all mean? Expansion, feeling an opposition between your desire of what you really want, having to do with, now this could certainly be a job, a relationship, because it's in this Taurus energy, which is in your 12th house. So it could have to do with any part of your life, because this is a very internal energy. But internally, you're going to be feeling this sort of push-pull between what it is that you really want to do and responsibility. So for some of you, for example, it could be, I really want to start my own business, or I really want to, develop A, B, and C more, but I have to work this way because I need to make this money to pay my bills. And it could be that tension there. So that's something that could certainly be highlighted. Now, but while you're working through this, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic. You're going to be very mindful of inner wounds with and there's going to be a very strong supportive energy for healing. So it's almost like as you're pushing forward to make some changes, to level up your life, there's going to be some absolute inadvertent kind of healing that's going on as well, having to do with your sense of self more specifically, and where it is that you see yourself going, and really seeing yourself and accepting yourself in a different way, a way that you probably haven't in a very long time, if ever. So really nice. You're going to be able to much more clearly see your gifts, your abilities, your shining parts, rather than maybe focusing on the negative of something. You're going to be a lot more focused on recognizing your shining parts, right? Especially with that Mercury Leo square Uranus, there's going to be this change that nurtures your self-esteem. That's definitely going to be on your mind. You're going to be really wanting to move something forward in that area. You're being pushed to think differently about what you thought you needed regarding money, regarding where you live, regarding connections, regarding work. It's like, I thought I needed that. Like, it's almost like if somebody would have sat you down last year and you're like, no, this is what I need. I need this. And this is absolutely what I want, blah, 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 blah. And now all of a sudden you're going to be like, I'm just not feeling that anymore. And there's this maturation process that's going on with you, and which is beautiful, right? So you're going to be realizing that there are other things that you want. Now, what you really want to do though, is being challenged by that responsibility, the energy of responsibility, and the need to reassess your responsibilities and what it is that you're doing in your life. So for some of you, there's going to have to be some rearranging. And all of this 12th house Taurus energy is actually working opposite that 6th house of your day-to-day responsibilities, your day-to-day work environment, The fact that IG is in there in Scorpio, so you're really going to be like trying to understand the health of your day-to-day life. How are you feeling about who you are when you show up in your day-to-day life? So all of this sounds very sort of existential, but there's going to be a lot of planning going on behind the scenes. And I really like this only because we do still have all of these retrogrades, right? We have Pluto, we have Saturn, the Jupiter is going to be going retrograde. We have Neptune retrograde. So this is like heavy duty retrograde season. Such a great energy for introspection and planning and cleaning off and out what we thought we wanted versus what's really in alignment. It's interesting because when we're pushed to slow down and our life slows down, we're pushed to look at things differently. And that's always a gift. So you really want to exercise the gift, and rather than being resentful for any sort of delays that you might feel like might be going on in your life right now. So enough about Mercury. Let's move on. Let's go to the 21st. So Jupiter retrograde and Saturn retrograde are going to be forming a semi-square. So Jupiter energy is in your 11th house and Saturn is in your 9th house. So 9th house, 11th house. I mean, those are pretty powerful houses, right? 9th house is truth. Between the 9th house and the 11th house, this is where God speaks to us. So a lot of you may be feeling these messages, almost like you're getting messages from loved ones who have crossed over, or just generally from spirit, or you're just feeling things. You're very in tune with these changes that you feel like you need to make. How you're going to make them, you might not be sure, but knowing what you have to do and what it is that you don't want to do, also, that's another thing. A lot of you guys are going to be figuring out, you might not know exactly what you do want in that relationship, that job, that family situation, but you do know what you don't want. Because if somebody comes up to you and you're like, well, what's the final outcome that you want? You're like, I just want to be happy. Well, what does that mean? I don't really know, but I know what doesn't make me happy. And that you're going to have a lot of focus on that, which is good, but not in a negative way. This is just almost like just putting things in context, if that makes sense. So that's what I see going on here. But let's talk about the semi-square with Jupiter retrograde and Saturn retrograde, because when we think in big terms of our life, or if we feel a strong urge to expand in this energy, we're definitely going to confront some obstacles, right? Because some restructuring of our life. It could be our business goals, right? Because wherever Saturn hangs out, we always have that idea, but Saturn is that 9th house. It is a business house. It has to do with launching, advertising, marketing. It has to do with importing and exporting. It has to do with higher education, higher mindedness, faith, religion, the law. Could certainly have to do with the promise of marriage. And because it's an Aquarius, this idea of, are we moving forward or are we not? Is this the right thing? Right? So there's no easy fix here. You just have to keep working hard to make sure that you have some sort of good progress, even if there's a lot of stopping and starting, between this 9th house and 11th house, between where you are now and your ability to exercise your goals and your gains and figure things out on the other side. You just might not be able to figure it all out, but don't get frustrated. This is a really good energy to breathe new life into an older plan, like something that you had been planning on doing, but maybe you abandoned it for whatever reason. You're like, you know what, I'm going to revisit that. Maybe let me do it. Maybe it's not going to be as challenging as I thought, or maybe, if this has to do with you and a significant other, maybe we should reconsider living in that neighborhood or opening that business or having a child, or whatever your goals and gains might be as a couple. It could be that, or it could certainly just simply be, again, having to do with some sort of larger idea globally, maybe having to do with your career, but going back to something that you were once thinking about. And, maybe at the time you had really good reasons to not explore it a lot more intently, but now maybe you're like, oh, you know what, it's a pretty good idea. You do want to watch out for overextending yourself in this energy these last 2 weeks, as that can end up leading to a lot of frustration and exhaustion. Because when you have Uranus and Mars and the North Node in your 12th house, guys, tired. And even when you sleep, you're busy. You're very busy. You're very busy, even when you're sleeping. So you could feel kind of like, not 100% rested throughout the day. So the last thing you want to do is overextend yourself. But anyway, that this is going to be the first of three transits, with the other two perfections happening in September and March, one of 2022 and then the other one in 2023. But this is something, right? I mean, this semi-square is going to be something that we should just know about, right? To be forewarned is to be forearmed. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, sit down and think, breathing life into something that you were thinking about once upon a time, and that going well, that being a really good idea for you. Now, going to July 22nd, the sun pops into Leo. We love Leo sun. It's very individual. It's very joyful. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. Leo rules joy. Leo's the landlord of the 5th house. So falling in love, love affairs, romance, children, creativity, entrepreneurial spirit, taking a calculated risk, gambling, all of these things are very Leo energy. And the thing is, when the sun, right, because the sun rules Leo, and so there's a lot of focus here, you're not going to feel content to just be one of the crowd. You're going to want to get your voice out there. You're going to want to express yourself, having to do with that relationship, that opportunity, whatever it is. You're going to be very out there, very expressive. But you do want to be careful of the shadow side of this energy, which can be a tendency towards self-centeredness and increased vanity. It's always the case, right? When Leo's in the house, we all have shadow sides. So we do want to be careful, especially because Leo is ruled by the sun. So there's going to be a lot of heat in that fire energy in a very me-based house. So just throwing it out there. Now, on the 25th, we have Venus in Cancer, squaring Venus in Cancer squaring Jupiter in Aries. So that Venus energy is in the second house, and that Jupiter energy is in the 11th house. So again, having to do with like your money, having to do with and really wanting to make some changes here, though. So I actually think this is going to ultimately end up being a good thing for you, because what can happen here is some of you are going to feel very motivated to get in front of any sort of debt. Feel very motivated to figure out a way of making more money. And I like the square to Jupiter because Jupiter expands whatever it's connected to. And so Venus is a money energy, and it also has to do with self-esteem, but it might not be comfortable, meaning you might be in this very challenged position currently having to do with your finances, where you're motivated. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to live like this anymore. Even if it's like, okay, you're just like, no, you know what? I want more for myself. I don't want to worry about an A, B, and C anymore. Or maybe it has nothing to do with money. It could really just have to do with your sense of self and your self-esteem, where you're just like, you know what, I want to lose weight, or I want to, because again, that second house has to do with food that we ingest, or I want to quit drinking so much, or eating so much sugar, or I want to start doing a lot more, maybe meditation, or things that put me in connection with myself, right? It depends on what else is going on in your chart, but all of those things can be very second house energy, right? Because the landlord there is Taurus. But with that Cancer energy, it's all to the end goal of making you feel better in your own skin, right? And feel more comfortable and confident. Because you know, one thing about having Cancer in the second, this is the interesting thing about Gemini, especially Gemini risings to a lesser degree, sun and moon. You have a very clear idea, very clear understanding. He who gives it can take it away. So if somebody came in and they were just like, here, Gemini, let me take care of you, you will still not be very comfortable. Even if you're still trying to figure out how can I make more or do A, B, and C, it's this very clear understanding that somebody can come in and they could be very loving and giving and generous, but they can also in the same breath take it away. And there's this very strong understanding of that wherever our Cancer is, but especially wherever we have a money energy. So obviously like the second and 11th house, the second, 8th house and 11th house. So that could certainly be activated where you're going to have a real motivation to just kind of make your own way. And it doesn't mean that you don't love the people in your life and you don't want to have them in your life. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you are going to be feeling fiercely, this very strong desire for independence, as a way of nurturing yourself, because we have Hades in there, we have Black Moon Lilith, we have Ceres, we have all of these energies in there that are going to be, your best off self-nurturing in this energy. Now, moving on, we have new moon in Leo on the 28th. This occurs at 5 degrees and 39 minutes in the sign of Leo. This is excellent for formulating goals regarding all things Leo. So if you're talking about planning on having a baby, planning on opening a business, if you're kind of setting in your mind, I'm going to open myself for a new relationship, or maybe you're making plans to level up your relationship, anything like that. Or maybe you're thinking about discussing taking a risk in some way on maybe an investment or something that requires you taking a risk, right? Making plans in this energy is really, really good. This can make significant changes in your life that can certainly benefit you beyond the moon cycle. So it's time to make some plans and set the stage for reaping the rewards from some sort of new beginning having to do with Leo energy. And this could certainly just simply be something within the life of your children, so doing something different with your kids. It could even be that, feeling very connected to your kids, by the way. Now, this gets really strong support from Jupiter, this energy. So you can find it very natural to want to grow and improve in this area. So, just keeping that in mind, it's your Leo energy is in that third house with Mercury. So there could be increased communication, lots of discussion, maybe with new energies. There could be a lot of connecting with siblings, extended family, go really, really well. Any sort of doing business as, lots of communication, lots of negotiating, really good energy for that. Now, Mars is heading toward that alignment with Uranus, and you could be especially innovative and ready to take some sort of like new methods of communication or new approaches or new strategies to something, or you could be really, really open to learning something new as far as the skill set goes. A lot of you are going to be experiencing that, where maybe you're going to learn some sort of new technology or some sort of new programming or a way of exercising whatever it is that you're doing, and it's going to end up boding very well for you. Now, on the 28th, we have Jupiter going retrograde, another one. So when Jupiter goes retrograde, we rethink our goals and plans in that area of life where Jupiter is hanging out. So again, back to that 11th house, Gemini, right? This idea of goals and gains. Where am I going? What am I doing? Looking at your friendships, looking at your sibling connections, looking at your connection to your stepchildren, to your brother, your son-in-law, your daughter-in-law, looking at all of these things. Or just simply, what do you want to do over the next 10, 15 years? It's a time of questioning what you thought you already knew and developing a new perspective on events and beliefs. You're likely going to feel very lucky wherever Jupiter is, which is really, really great. So that's always that energy, but some enthusiasm can end up waning ultimately. Just because whenever Jupiter goes retrograde, there is whenever any energy goes retrograde, really, there's always an energy of reality, So look at how much reality we have going on right now, right? We couldn't hide our head in the sand right now, even if we wanted to. It's really difficult. Like, it has to be so overt for you to not see the obvious right now. You got Neptune retrograde, so the rose-colored glasses are off. The fog is it's dissipated. Pluto, all about, no, slow down with that change. Saturn, hold on, wait for those, rolling out those responsibilities, learning those lessons. Hold on, pull it back. Jupiter retrograde, about expansion. Hold on, rethink this. Let's work with the facts. I mean, that's really what this energy is right now. It's going to be rolling out like this pretty much until, I want to say, keeping it real, trying to be honest here, till the middle of October. Till Saturn and Jupiter, Saturn and Taurus, Saturn and Pluto, come out of retrograde, like October 11th-ish, like that week, they're coming out of retrograde. Now, on the 31st, here we go. All right, listen, we have to talk about a couple of different ways that this crazy ass transit is going to hit this stellium, where we're having Uranus, Mars, and the North Node hitting on the 31st of the month. We never had this before in our life. We're never going to have it again. And this is the thing, keeping it real. Uranus, we can never give this is what's going to happen. We could do that for some. We could do it for Mercury. We could do it for Venus. Uranus, Neptune, no, especially Uranus. So I can lay out a couple of ideas, and you can kind of vibe which side of the fence you may potentially fall on. Nothing I say, guys, by the way, is ever to be like scary or doomy. It's never to be like that. But it's just, I always feel to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Keeping it real, have I highly recommended to several of my clients, could you just maybe clean your calendar for a day or two and just chill at home and don't engage? Yes, I have done that because I know that this is going to be a big one. We've never had anything like this. So you're having this in your 12th house. So for you guys, I feel like you're a lot more protected than a lot of the other signs, because the 12th house is the house of the hidden. It has to do with subconscious, but be prepared. Also rules your dreaming, though. It also rules self-sabotaging behaviors. It rules self-sacrifice. But something very shocking is going to come in this 12th house. Now, for a lot of you, it could come in a dream that you have maybe 1 or 2 nights in a row that you cannot shake. Don't ignore it. Write it down. Look for the lesson in it. Others of you, an absolute epiphany coming to you in your sleep. A real sort of sub epiphany that just sort of surfaces itself throughout the day. A sudden realization that you're absolutely sacrificing yourself by staying in whatever it is that what you're in. For others of you, this is an absolute understanding where it's like, oh my gosh, why haven't I felt more committed to this up to now? I really want this relationship, this job, whatever it is. Now, let me explain. Mars is all about fresh path, new perspective. It's tower energy in tarot, right? So it's about this necessary surrender and this need for new. Mars is the warrior energy that's out on the battlefield before we had technology. It's that soul, lonely soldier, survival of the fittest. I'm going to kill whatever gets in my way because, whoever makes it to the finish line wins, that kind of thing, right? And that's Mars. Now, Mars is going to be sitting with Uranus. Uranus is a revolutionary energy, literally. Shake it up. And it's for the better of the good. It's for the betterment of your future. Uranus is very much a future energy. That's why Uranus rules science, it rules technology, but all of this is happening in your 2nd house. So expect some amazing ideas to hit you, where you might be doing something in your life right now, Gemini, where all of a sudden, no kidding, you get like what you feel for your particular life. It's almost like a stroke of genius. It's like, holy shit, like what a good idea that is. How did I not think of that before? But that can absolutely end up creating really good revenue for you, because the North Node is in Taurus, and Taurus is a money energy. And if it doesn't have to do with money, it has to do with self-esteem. It could have to do with both. But this idea is brewing very deep within your subconscious mind, and it's going to be coming out. Now, how it comes out, it depends on what else is going on in your chart and what else is aspecting your 12th house. I could tell you, those of you who have Jupiter in the 12th house in your natal chart at around anywhere between 13 and 25 degrees, you are going to be feeling this big time, because that's expansion of that expansion. So these are the different ways that and for you guys, I really don't think that it's going to end up, it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a negative thing for you guys or a challenging thing. It's going to be more of an eyes wide open kind of thing. And for a lot of you, because it sits opposite the 6th house, it's going to have a lot to do. A lot of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to stop doing that. Doing drugs, drinking, spending so much money, self-sabotaging behaviors. All of a sudden, it's like you're realizing this, and you're realizing the relationship between how your day-to-day, how well you feel about who you are in your day-to-day. And you're realizing that if I'm doing anything that's making me feel any sense of discomfort, that's creating internal chaos. So if I know I shouldn't be spending that money or having that extra drink or doing that fill in the blank, I have to really look at that. And that could be that kind of experience for you. Others of you, it's going to have to do with something going on within your workplace. Others of you could even be realizing, oh my gosh, you like literally wake up, I want to go rescue a pet, because it's sitting opposite the house of pets, right? And so, or realizing that something is going on with the pet and wanting to work with that. Now, the negative manifestation can be some challenges with pets. some challenges within the workplace, some, that opposite, right? So I want to give you the good and the possible challenges. So it does depend on what else is going on in your chart. Okay. But I think that's all I really wanted to talk about there. But you're definitely going to be redefining what it means to be secure, comfortable, wealthy, stable. Stability is going to be a huge thing for you guys right now. And that last day also, we have Venus and Cancer squaring Chiron and Aries. And I really love this energy because this is a square that I don't mind, because this is really saying, you know what? As Venus wants us to feel good about who we are and what we're doing. And if something doesn't feel good to us, and if something is hurting us, Chiron's going to make us look at it right now and make the changes accordingly. So I really do like that. But all that being said, let me open this up and let's get into the cards. This. Okay. So we'll start with some money. However money is impacting your life, Gemini. This could be through your work or a legal situation or through your relationship, anything like that. But I also do feel like, because you also have Vesta opposing this trans Pluto. Trans Pluto is very much about wholeness and integration in relationships with others. It's thinking about what's good for the whole, and not just you, not just the individual. And it's going to be sitting opposite Vesta again, which has to do with, kind of checking that flame that's burning within us still, having to do with that career, having to do with that relationship. So I actually really like this opposition because it's going to have you really asking and answering some very solid questions like, how much are you doing for yourself versus for your family, or how much you're doing for you versus other people that you work with? How committed are you feeling right now to all of it? Where do you feel like the changes need to be made? It doesn't even mean you have to be making them right now, but there's going to be something very cathartic for you to at least recognize and sit down and have some conversations with other people in your life right now. So we have the 5 of coins. So there might be some sort of challenge going on with money. So this could be a testing of resources or fear of financial issues. And you're in a space where you're considering new options to see your way forward. So some of you may be thinking about maybe taking on a side hustle or a whole new job or something like that. Let's see what your block is the 7 of Wands. So when the 7 of Wands comes up as a block, this can indicate things stalling out, or maybe even a strong desire in your own energy to kind of quit. And it's like, how do we kind of quit? Well, look, keeping it real, when Uranus is heavily activated, could almost act like this strong desire to break free. So you can just sort of overnight, just say, oh my God, I just can't do this anymore. I got to go. I have to get another job. I can't do it in this way. I just can't do it anymore. Do not be surprised if that comes up here with that Uranus energy, because this is confirmation of what's happening with the astrology. So, but as Geminis, I don't feel like that's the first time you would have ever felt that, right? Okay, no, we have one reversal. So we have the strength energy coming in. So look, I mean, there was something that you were doing that brought you joy to some degree, or if you weren't really happy about it, maybe it was some sort of creative project that you were trying to push out, trying to get something out there. Strength energy, of course, has to do with Leo. So you might have been working with somebody, in the workplace where there were tensions because of somebody's ego, but there's the opportunity to resolve it through empathy. But you might have had to step up to calm someone's ego down who had very strong opinions so that their mind could open up. Like you might have had to play mediator in a situation for some of you, or you might have had to calm down a significant other when it comes to money. Could have been anything like that. But we have the Knight of Cups as the basis, feeding the Queen of Cups. So this is nice. Knight of Cups is a proposal, some sort of new offer coming in. So we love that, Aquarius and Pisces. And that is feeding this Queen of Cups energy, which is Gemini and Cancer. So some sort of discussion about security, safety, home. Some of you may be Okay, offer home. So you might be putting an offer on a home. Some of you may be discussing with your partner, putting some money into your home to increase the value, selling a home, buying a home, something like that. Of course, with the Queen of Cups energy, it's always likely there. But this could also just be an offer coming in that allows you to feel more safe and secure in what it is that you're doing. And more independent, but in a really healthy way, like maybe for your children or just so that you have enough money for your bills, you know what I mean? Like your responsibilities. So let's look at the advice energy as the Seven of Swords. Wow. All right. So you have to really be honest about where you're lying to yourself, Gemini. You like how gently I rolled into that? Like where, now for some of you, this advice could end up showing up for you having to do with someone else. Being really honest. Is somebody being dishonest with you? Are they running away from responsibility, having to do with something to do with finances? Or are they overstepping boundaries? Or are they being selfish right now? Because if that's the case, then the advice is you need your instincts and your wits about you to figure out the real truth of what's really going on. Because you might be vibing that there's more going on than you're actually being told about regarding some sort of financial situation, whether it has to do with work, family, significant other, whatever it is. You may actually even need to play someone at their own game to find out what you need to know. It could certainly be that for some of you. And that's if you're dealing with that kind of energy. Whereas others of you, this is also a moon in Aquarius energy. And moon is our emotions, and those change every day and a half to 2.5 days in Aquarius, which has to do with the future, right? And your goals and gains and what it is that you really want to do. So you might have been holding on to something recently having to do with money that you thought you really needed. And this is going back to the astrology, where you're going to be in the space where you're like, you know what, maybe I don't need that. Maybe I need this. Maybe I want to try this out. Maybe I'm realizing that that's not the right path, and being really, really honest with yourself. So depending on how it's hitting you. Now, the energy that is surrounding you right now is the devil energy. The devil energy is Capricorn. Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. This stuff definitely a work energy. So some of you might feel a sense of imbalance when it comes to work. So maybe you're just working like bananas, crazy ass hours. Like there's no there's no real balance there, and that could be stringing you out, where it's very much stressing you. Others of you, if you're dealing with any sort of self-sabotaging behavior, really kind of trying to be honest, right, with the Seven of Swords, are you maybe doing too much of something that's getting in the way of you being able to be more successful in your day-to-day? Again, maybe you're just not taking really good care of yourself, just being really honest with yourself. For some of you, having to do with that. But for others of you, it's just the general imbalance in your life. So you might be involved in a relationship that really kind of throws you off your game, and it gets in the way of you being able to focus the way that you would really like to in the work space. But then finally, for some of you, you may be experiencing some sort of bad financial contract or a career that's unsatisfying, and you might deal with very domineering, maybe workmates or a boss or some sort of toxic work environment, but you stay because you kind of have to, so there's the money. And then in the same way, some of you may have this connection to an ex, like a toxic ex, because of child support or whatever it is, could certainly indicate that. Now we have in your psychological block, we have the Six of Coins in reverse. So this is debt. This is one-sided charity. This is an energy of selfishness, struggling. So you may be dealing with somebody who you do believe that that they're rather selfish, or they're actually helping you out and you're really uncomfortable with it, because that could show up as a psychological block. It's like the last thing you want to do is ask this person for help, but they are helping you, and just having a real hard time with that. That could certainly be a situation going on. But others of you, you might be dealing with an energy that's just very selfish. There's a lot of struggling, having to do with finances as well. And that's just that. Now, this is not really neat to be your 3D. This is more like your psychological block. But then we have the Three of Cups, which is all about healing. which is nice. This is a Mercury in Cancer energy. So you're thinking about security. You're thinking about that. You're getting support. And this is all about, again, healing. This is the number of creation as well. So something new is going to be coming in that's going to be able to grow you, Gem, which is great. The Empress energy, she's a money energy. She's all about, growth and expansion and feeling really good about what it is that you're doing. So I like this is a very secure energy as well. So some sort of secure energy having to do with money is going to be flowing in. And you're even going to be able to support others in your life, or at least easily meet your bills and all of that you might be concerned about. So I do like that for you. 9 of Wands. Okay. You're very tired of it. I totally get it. You're very, it's sort of like, you're not giving up, but you're tired of like the same old thing, right? So some sort of situation going on here. We have the Princess of Swords, personification of air. So again, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, I feel like you're going to be learning something new, some sort of new skill set or new approach to something. Beautiful. And then we have the Three of Wands. This is one of the good fortune cards. Your skill set, whatever you bring to the table, is going to be very appreciated. You're going to be meeting a lot of new people. It's going to be a very social time. You're going to be meeting a lot of connections, a lot of people. It's something very creative that's going on here for you, Gem. So I do like it. So it does look like it has a good outcome here. So good. Let me know. Great. All right. So let's go into our relationship. By the way, if you guys want to work with me privately, there is a link to my booking site in the description box below. Even though you are a Gemini, if you have a Leo sun, moon, or rising, you'll be 25% off all my services this month. Okay, very nice. We get some healing going on here for those of you in relationship. That is the first card up for the advice. This side is going to be for you. This side is going to be for your person. So we have the Two of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands. Okay, it does seem like you're a little conflicted about something, and you're in this space where you feel like you need to defend yourself, Gemini, like defend, your way of thinking or what it is that you want to roll out in your connection with this person. Okay, and then we have the Justice energy being clarified by the Three of Swords. So there can be some sort of painful situation going on, especially if you guys are married. There could be some sort of, according to your partner, there could be some sort of uncomfortable situation coming up, having to do with transparency, fairness, win-win situation, emotional needs being met, feeling like things are fair, but there's some sort of reality that needs to be addressed on their end. The Three of Swords is, say it's the card of pain, but it's really the card of truth more than anything else. It could be, betrayal if they feel that way, whatever it is. But there is this energy of, okay, well, at least we can begin to move forward with reality and just do some really good healing. Now, this doesn't have to be connected to your relationship. They might be in the space of realizing, because Justice energy is also a contract. So maybe something didn't work out that they really wanted to work out. Maybe they were waiting for that job or somebody to invest in a project or something like that. So it doesn't have to be connected to your relationship, but it is putting you in a space where you're kind of confused about, okay, now where do we go? Now what? And you're feeling like you need to defend yourself, maybe even defend your children, in this way. But let's finish up your side here. So we have the Nine of Swords, which is anxiety and overwhelm. Five of Pentacles, feeling very worried about money. Now we have the Hangman in the reverse, which means that you need to reevaluate your expectations and see if what you want to do here, having to do with this relationship, is a realistic possibility. Now, you want to really be very careful of rigid thinking or martyrdom, or maybe even your partner adopting that kind of energy, towards you or towards whatever situation. But you just want to see if some kind of fantasy or false narrative isn't being held on to right now. So you just want to look things over clear eyes, some really good honesty, and see if you can maybe even liberate yourself from some sort of situation that's going on within this relationship that that's probably not even going to ultimately be able to give you what it is that you want, you know? And it could have to do with a home or something going on in the home, because the Four of Wands is clarifying that, which is very much about a homecoming energy. It's very much about stability and family. So it's almost like you're realizing some sort of reality having to do with your home life with a person, or even, it's very interesting, Gemini, I'm not getting even any sort of like sadness. It's more like an acceptance. It's very interesting. I feel like the sadness may be past already. This doesn't mean that you guys are going to break up. I'm not suggesting that. It means like something that you maybe thought was going to happen isn't, and it's about coming together and just accepting that. Just accepting that. This Nine of Swords, though, is anxiety and overwhelm and not responding well to the external stress of some sort of, fearing some sort of financial issue here. You might be really scared of losing your security, or something to do with your home or something like that. So there's going to be like a little bit of like a wake-up call that's ultimately going to be good for you, though. So now here we have the Justice energy, the Three Swords. First card up, we have the King of Cups. So there's some sort of need to settle a conflict within themselves or with you, whatever it is, and you guys have to do something different. So it's almost like, okay, that didn't work out. Next, let's do something. That's kind of like the energy that I'm getting from them. Beautiful. The Sun energy, so very nice. I mean, some of you might be with a partner who's like, okay, let's not be too bummed out that we didn't get pregnant then. Let's be more creative, maybe get, go through IVF or something like that. That could certainly be this kind of energy. This is very positive, okay? All of these. We have the King of Cups, the Fool energy, the Sun, and the Page of Cups. These are all really beautiful energies that speak to your heart. Settling a conflict, taking a calculated risk, and really focusing on creating something new for yourselves. So some of you may be making the choice. The Fool energy could be moving. It is a Uranus energy, which rules advanced science. So maybe somebody's saying, okay, let's try again IVF, or let's do something having to do with technology, having to do with some part of our life here. Okay, so we have the Star, which is a change for the better after a difficult time. And then we have the Nine of Cups, which is very much manifesting something that you guys have really, really wanted, bringing something together. Six of Pentacles, this is great. Six of Pentacles is a very nice energy having to do with communication, feelings being shared, well received, deepening of connection. Page of Wands, nice. Personification of fire. Knight of Swords, expect the unexpected. Two of Swords, you're going to be an emotional stalemate. You guys have to talk about that, though. What are you confused about? What are you conflicted about? There's got to be this open conversation about, because with this Page of Wands, because it's personification of fire, that would be Taurus, Leo, and Sag. You have to talk about what it is that you really want. What it is that's going to make you happy. And I feel like when you tell your partner, or when they tell you what that is to either you or them, there's going to be some sort of like surprise. And it's going to be like, wait a minute, I'm really not sure if I actually want that. Four of Swords is taking a step back for perspective, which is always helpful. Maybe speaking to a therapist and really getting in contact and in touch with what it is that you really want out of this relationship. This is a very intuitive energy, very emotionally intelligent energy, not afraid of intimacy. This indicates parenting, focusing on kids, focusing on what matters. But again, Gemini and Cancer are communicating about either a home or security or what's needed. So it's almost like squashing any external noise that's getting in the way of the relationship that doesn't really matter. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really actually matter. So nice energy for them, for those of you resonating, to be honest. King of Cups, the Fool, the Sun, and the Page of Cups. Very nice. It's almost like you're dealing with somebody who really does kind of want to be happy. Just want to be happy. Now it's going to be up to you whether that definition is in alignment with what it is that you want, you know, but his definition of happy is very different. Let's just pull a couple of oracles for you guys. Pay attention to the signs. Yep. Self-sabotage. Yep. Alchemy. Blending it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it can't be all like one way or the other, right? It can't be my way, the highway on either end. So this guy, and that's really, you sort of have to grab those energies and say, okay, the alchemy is all about blending in order to advance something. So I do like that for you. All right. So that's what we have for that. Now let's pull some cards for those of you who are single. Single, Five of Wands in conflict. Okay. Okay, psychological, your block here, not your psychological block, but what is literally blocking you is the Queen of Wands. Okay, so the Queen of Wands is this energy of like apathy and coldness and anger. So you might be really, you might be dealing with somebody who, you might be single because you had an argument with somebody and they're just very like cold and angry and apathetic right now, or you might be that way towards them. For some of you, for others of you, you're single and you're watching this right now just for like the shits and giggles of it all. But you really, if this is resonating with you, you're kind of in conflict about even wanting to be in a relationship. Yeah, Ace of Cups. Some of you maybe had a relationship in the recent past and it ended up not working out. You learned your lesson, right? Because then we have the World energy. And that's feeding the Strength energy, which has to do falling in love, love affair, romance, but your happiness and your joy and not losing yourself in all of it. So we have that. I feel like that's something that you've learned here with the World is always about a lesson learned, that you can't lose yourself in all of it. Nobody's worth that, right, Jem? So, okay. Yep. So I feel like for some of you, this could be somebody like sort of like in the recess of your mind that you're finally sort of wrapping up like older energy, because we do have in the advice, we have death. So something's over, you know, and you'd be better off just understanding that, you know, at this point, because this is all about transformation and change. It's time for something new. And you're being at the 10 of Pentacles is surrounding you, which is amazing. Because this is a Mercury and Virgo energy. You're thinking about your day-to-day, you're thinking about commitment, you're thinking about your future. You know, you want to be with somebody in a connection where it's almost like your family and you're sharing things. And that energy is very much around you, but it's just like this realization that whoever it is, that some of you are letting go of an energy here, and that energy was never going to actually give you that in the way that you really wanted. So we have the Knight of Pentacles is in the psychological block. So the Knight of Pentacles, it's a Leo and Virgo energy. And so this is an interesting one when it comes up for relationship reads, because this is a very loyal and dependable energy who has a lot to offer, but they might be boring or a little slow to share their feelings. But depending on what you're looking for, this person can ultimately be your rock, but might lack the excitement to capture your little Gemini heart for the long term in a really satisfying way. But it does depend on where you're at, right? But you don't want to really waste your time. And in your psychological block, it does seem like kind of can't meet anybody who is really, you know, doing it for you, you know. And even if you're dating people, it's like you might even have met somebody really wonderful. They look amazing on paper, they're good looking, they have a job, they're nice, and yet what's missing. So that is very much that Knight of Pentacles energy. Now we have the Ten of Cups in the near future, and it's being clarified by the Eight of Swords as the final outcome. So just be careful, Jem, that you're not going to try to like rush anything. Not that you would do that intentionally, but the Ten of Cups, a great energy. It's Mars, which is very determined. In Pisces, right? Dream. It's like, damn it, I'm going to be happy if it's the last thing I do, right? I'm going to go out, I'm going to date, I'm going to meet people. I really want to find that person. I want to connect with that energy and all of that. And then we have the Eight of Swords, though, and the Eight of Swords is feeling this self-imposed limitation, the self-imposed entrapment, and feeling this anxiety, like things are never going to change. You don't belong in a situation anymore, but it's almost like you could be very stuck between things. An old relationship that you actually don't really even want to be in, and then meeting somebody new though, but yet your energy probably still goes back to that person that you were with, even if you know you don't really want to be with them, because there's an energy of familiarity. At least you know what you're getting there. But this is like anxiety here. So we have the Lovers, the Three of Wands, the Eight of Wands. Huh. Okay, so we have, yeah. So the Lovers is all about recognizing that there's some sort of imbalance that needs to be worked out here. This is you doing some really good work on yourself, right? And then the Three of Wands is very much about, this is one of the good fortune cards, right? This is about an important relationship coming in, moving on to realize plans, dealing with different people, unconventional situation, just different than what it is that you've been doing, which is really nice. And then we have the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Wands is this is a really good energy, especially if you've been in separation with somebody. So if you guys are single but you separated, there could be some sort of connection, kind of sort of like rekindled here. It could be. Or you're thinking about calling somebody that you were with at one point. There needs to be a recognition of your need for perfection. We always say that about Geminis though, right? This need for, it's so funny because a lot of Geminis are like, are you kidding? Like, I like everybody. I make friends with walls and rocks. I don't, yeah, but it's Gemini energy requires, I always say that, this Renaissance energy where you can get bored easily. So, while the idea of what's attractive versus not is very subjective, they have to be attracted to you. They have to be funny. They have to be smart. They have to have stuff going on. Otherwise, you're going to get very, very bored. But at the same time, I don't want you to feel like you need to be more perfect than you already are. It does seem like that's something that you do need to sort of embrace as well. So that's being King of Wands energy is being clarified with Queen of Cups, Gemini and Cancer, something that you're realizing that you need. So you are sort of delineating a very specific list of what it is that you actually need. And that's being clarified by the Ace of Swords, getting over past obstacles, getting what you want, thoughts becoming things, the King of Cups, settling this conflict within yourself as well as with somebody else. I have to tell you, I see some of you reconnecting with somebody from the past. Others of you, you're moving into a space of acceptance. But whatever it is, it's really nice. Now, some of you, if it's not getting back with somebody, the Sun and the Four of Wands, the Sun is falling in love, love affairs, romance. It's a Leo energy. And then the Four of Wands is a new partner opening up their heart and expressing their feelings for you. So some of you are going to be meeting somebody new, whereas others of you are going to be, there's somebody, and you're going to know if somebody's coming back around, because I don't feel like they're very long out of your energy or very strong out of your energy. Let me say that, because the energy doesn't understand the man-made calendar. It could have been a couple of years, but damn well you're still in each other's energy. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. But it ends well here with the Sun and the Four of Wands. I do like that. So that is what I have for you, my friends, for this end of July. I hope this was helpful in some way. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time. You guys take care now. Bye-bye.